Apple worked really hard to make the most impressive VR headset, but at no point did anyone at Apple ask, why are we doing this? So a few months ago, I did a video sharing my experience using Meta's VR headset. A VR headset that promised to give my life meaning, but ended up with me just being called gay in a 3D chat room. And while I do think Apple's headset is way cooler than Meta's, here's why I think it's still gonna be a device that'll just collect dust in someone's drawer. To start with, Apple Vision Pro lets us do all the shit we already hate, but in VR and AR. In the video Apple showed, they had people use the headset to do things like group chats, email, notes, and browsing the shitty web. Now in their video, they cleaned up the web a little bit, made it look very clean and inviting, but in reality, it looks something like this. And we're just using an expensive dongle to do the same shit that we're already frustrated with, because foundationally, a lot of these digital experiences are just not that good. Like, no one really wants to do email in VR. VR and AR on its own right now, they just don't have that killer app yet. Gaming and virtual reality porn can only take us so far. And realistically, that's what people are gonna use this thing for. A lot of people, myself included, still get motion sickness and headaches from headsets. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's just the weight of it on your head. Maybe it's the display. It just feels like no matter how many 4K screens you shove in front of our eye, it's still gonna fuck with the human brain a little bit. When I did my video about the Meta Oculus Quest, I honestly couldn't go more than like 15 minutes before I had a headache. Like, I just had to take this thing off and throw it across the room. And I know Apple's saying it's gonna be a lot better, but at the end of the day, you're just still cramming a screen right into your eyeball. So I think no matter how advanced the tech gets, we just weren't meant to have like this stuff just like right in our face. The other thing I've been thinking about is I think it's a bad sign when most people hate the early versions of a product. Think about phones. A lot of people loved their flip phone, and then they loved their BlackBerry, and then when the iPhone came along with the touchscreen, they loved that even more. At every iteration of the product, there was a big audience for that product, and it only got bigger and bigger. Same with something like video games or music or film or cars. It's not like people hated video games in the 90s because they were too pixelated. People loved video games even then, and they love them even more now. But with VR AR, it just seems like every release is dead in the water, and I'm supposed to believe that like overnight, this will just become this like universal viable thing. And it's not a good sign that everyone I know with disposable income that got a different headset used it for a few weeks or months and then just literally chucked it in a closet. And when I ask them why they don't use it, they're like, like Google Earth and Google Maps is cool in VR, but at a certain point, it's just less hassle to jump on your MacBook or your phone. So yeah, I don't see this overnight just becoming a thing just because a marketing campaign told us to. And I know people are gonna use examples like the Apple Watch, but people wore watches up until the Apple Watch. Like, the Apple Watch was just the next iteration of the watch. It's not like no one fucked with watches up until the Apple Watch. No one likes headsets. Like, consistently, nobody wears them long term, except little kids. But I don't know if that's a big enough audience. And I don't know if my friend's 12-year-old son has $3,500. Speaking of cost, this is obviously the easiest point to make. This thing is stupid expensive.
Apple Vision Pro starts at $34.99.
I'm not talking AirPods expensive. This thing is $3,500 USD. That's $4,600 before tax here for me in Canada. The other thing is, people's mentality towards technology in general is slowly changing. Over the last 10 or 15 years, given the effects we've seen of technology and social media, I think a lot of people are in agreement that being chronically online or chronically glued to a device is not good for us. At a certain point, we have to move on with our life. And I feel like lately more and more people are becoming more conscious of this. And it doesn't help that COVID has left people lonelier and with fewer friends than before. So I don't think VR or AR is the solution. I also want to remind you not to believe all the hype and bullshit that tech reviewers tell you. And I'm not saying they're all lying. People that make a living hyping up products or getting people excited about new releases have to get you talking about it. They have to create a buzz around it. They have a self-interest to do so. iJustine is never going to tell you that you don't need the Apple Vision Pro. Like, a lot of these creators that make a living doing stuff around tech products, Apple doesn't have like a gun to their family's head, but they want to keep getting invited back to these Apple events. Even regular people that shill for VR in the comments most of them would never use even a budget headset on a regular basis. They just don't. People just want to be pundits and gurus in the comments, and they want to make these big predictions. But until I see people regularly using even the budget headsets, I'm not going to believe that this like $3,500 headset is going to be the thing everyone magically starts using overnight. People are just people, and they get FOMO, and they don't want to miss out on the newest, coolest thing. But all that really matters is what people do, not what they say. Now, if Apple made sleek, stylish AR glasses that you just put on your face and just you're instantly transported to this world, that could take off. I feel like Steve Jobs and Jony Ive wouldn't fuck with this headset because their original philosophy was tech is supposed to get out of your way. And there's nothing more in your way like gluing snowboarding goggles to your face and trying to interact with your kids. And if you're the type of guy that will use a VR headset while playing with your kids, they're probably not your kids anyway. As much as people complain about everyone living their life through their phone, at least you can briefly lower your phone and pretend to give a fuck about your surroundings. Take a look at these two pictures. One is Steve Jobs using his own product. The other one is Tim Cook standing next to the headset like it's an artifact he stole from another civilization. Like it's in his private collection at home. He's not fucking wearing this thing. That tells you everything you need to know. So anyway, until we can have those contact lenses from Black Mirror that can show you when your spouse is cheating on you, I think the Apple headset is just going to be another inconvenient, clunky thing we have to strap onto our face to escape to another world. And if I wanted to escape my life, there's an old school headset that's way, way cheaper called beer goggles.